welcome to this episode of the Feelin Alive podcast series. I am today's host, Miriam, and today we're talking about being young and different, and being young and marginalized. So the main question today is, how does identity play into our mental well-being? And we'll talk about intersectionality and how different identity factors play a role in someone's mental health. We will talk a bit about minority stress and how being different from the norm can affect your access to resources. And we'll also have a little talk about the historical perspective of mental health. And to talk about all of this, we have Frank in the studio. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, my name is Frank. I am queer, as can be.
Yay!
And I mean, I am history student, which is also why we have the wonderful question about history.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's who I am.
Welcome and thank you for joining the podcast. So I think the first question I would like to ask you is, how do you think identity play a role in your mental health or mental health in general? That's up to you, how you would frame it.
I know from personal experience, my own identity plays a lot into my mental health. I struggle with anxiety. And I know that my identity as queer and genderqueer, where in the terms I exactly lay, I'm not sure of yet. But I know that plays a lot into also how my mental health is, because my anxieties roll a lot about how people perceive me and in general. So I know that while I want to present more masculine and everything, I am aware that on looks, I look very feminine. And that, of course, plays into it a lot. I, luckily, have grown up in a very accepting family and such. And in a rather accepting town, not that big. So, luckily, my sexuality hasn't been as much as an issue for me as my gender identity is, because that is something people can't wrap their head around as much.
Yes.
If they don't know anyone themselves or know the struggles themselves, it's a thing they can't really wrap their head around.
So the situations in which your identity as queer, genderqueer has been a factor in your anxiety has been if people are not aware of what it means or well informed. Is that true? Or
yeah, that. And I in my friend group and everything, I go by Frank, and in public settings and such, I go by my birth name. Okay. Because I am well aware that to everyone else, I seem very feminine and I seem like a woman. Therefore, Frank as a masculine name doesn't connect the right way.
Yeah.
And that does that I don't speak up as much
in public.
Yeah. And correct people or anything, because I know I don't look the way I'm quote unquote supposed to look like.
I know what you mean. Yes. So there's definitely an expectation from people about how you should present your gender in it should be in accordance with the name of the gender, should also be in accordance to how you look. And yeah.
Exactly. And if you are in the trans umbrella, if you're not taking any steps towards changing anything, people also transitioning one way or another. Some choose not to. There are various reasons. Yes. But then some people's but is it really then?
Are you actually trans?
Yeah.
Like, is the question. So just maybe for the listener who doesn't necessarily know much about like queerness, we could say that what you're talking about right now is if people do not identify with the gender that they were assigned at birth, which is also the case for me and maybe was the case for you as well. Like you might want to transition, and transition does not necessarily mean taking medicine or going through an operation to become a man or to become a woman or to become whatever. A transition can also be, or is always also social, right? Like having a social transition of like people knowing your new name or your pronouns or how you would like to be described. And often people expect if you are trans or if you do want to transition, that looks a specific way. Exactly. And then if it doesn't look like that, it's even more like, what? Okay, so I already accepted that you were trans, but now you're not trans in the way that I expect you to be.
Exactly.
Maybe? Yeah. So people have been confused about that sometimes, or with you? Yeah.
More like my friend groups and such. I've had where I've meeting up with some of my friends' friends, where they had introduced me as Frank and using he/him pronouns. And when I came knocking on the door, it was like, I'm sorry, I was just expecting a man.
So they were like, what? Yeah.
They were very accepting.
Yes.
And nonetheless, but they was very confused in the moment.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. Yeah. I mean, I also use they, them pronouns, and people are very confused because they also perceive me as like hyper feminine most of the time, which I guess I do also pretend or present as hyper feminine. But I think it's a very interesting topic within the topic of this thing of being perceived, because how you're being perceived really does have such a huge impact on your mental health.
Exactly. Whether
you register it or not. And I think that for people who are AFAB, assigned female at birth, it's even more present. Like the being perceived has an even bigger sometimes, or at least like if you're a minority in general, like how you're perceived means so much for your mental health. Because if you are a very feminine person, you will be perceived in public as a sexual like being in another way. And if you are queer or trans, you will be perceived like as like people can't really understand it and they're confused and all of these emotions. And then like if you are brown or black, you might be perceived as a threat or a lot of other bad things. So in that way, I guess, it also goes together. Okay, well, that's interesting. So your identity has played a role, mainly regarding queerness. So the next question that I had that I wanted to talk about was like, do you feel free to self-identify? You already talked about it a little bit, but can you elaborate on that?
I mean, in my friend group and everything, where my like public persona, you can almost say, is not known, where my first introduction to people are as Frank, I feel like I have more like freedom to be me, compared to like at university or so on, where the first introduction to me is by my birth name. That already puts like a hinder on things, because I'm not quite sure always where I have people, like where their understanding of things are, and even then, do they talk to other people I know that aren't as supporting?
That's very interesting, because it's like people have theories about you, like almost, like
exactly.
Not actually, but that's how it feels.
Exactly.
Like, and that can definitely make a person anxious or very insecure, because if you don't know what the person is thinking, and the person might even already have like a preconception of you that you have not had any control over.
Exactly. Like, I have a story from when I got engaged to my fiance. It was in like a cafe called Chromosome.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, it's unfortunately closed now. It's such a shame.
Yeah, shout out to Chromosome.
But at that time, and still not, I'm still not out to my parents yet.
Today still?
Today still not.
Yeah.
So that means that when Chromosome was asking if they could publish the video that had been taken of our engagement, which was very cute and everything, my immediate reaction was like, no. Because my parents are on Facebook, my grandparents are on Facebook.
Yeah.
None of my extended family are aware of how I identify.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure exactly how to take that conversation with them, because I don't know their like stance on like transitioning exactly. I know their stance on gender fluid and such.
Your parents' stance?
Yeah, my parents' stance. Yeah. Which is not positive.
Yeah, okay. Like an actual like medical transition, do you mean?
Yeah.
They wouldn't approve.
I don't know how they would approve of that, but I know like the term gender fluid and probably also non-binary is like a term they do not understand.
Yeah, it's too abstract.
It is too abstract for them.
Yeah.
And that just means that that part of my family is still not quite understanding of where to place myself.
Yeah.
So whenever something became like public that way, my immediate reaction was always like, no.
Yeah.
Because they could see it, and then I would have to have the conversation with them, and that was not something I was going to do.
Yeah. So what they could see in that video was not, because they already knew about your sexuality, right?
Yeah.
But it was more about like your gender expression in that video.
Exactly, my gender identity.
Yes.
Because I have always like expressing myself as more masculine.
Yeah.
I've always been like a tomboy growing up.
Yeah.
And luckily my sexuality is not an issue for them. They do not care. The only thing my dad was just like, well, then sure, not grandkids.
Yeah, which is like, what do you mean? Because like, of course, like
it's like that can be grandkids. Okay,
yeah, like science.
But yeah, like,
that's a common.
Is very common.
Yeah.
But that was like the only thing that was true with my sexuality.
Yeah.
So getting engaged to my fiance, that was not the issue. The issue was that she used my birthday, not my birthday. She used my chosen name.
Oh.
She used Frank, and I don't know if there was like you could hear my pronouns, and I didn't know like exactly what Chromosome was gonna write on that Facebook post and everything, because most likely my fiance was gonna like share it.
Yeah,
because it's cute.
Of course, you would want it. It's also such a shame that you would like that you have to have that joy taken away from you, because it is like such a cute moment that you would want to share.
Exactly. And like my fiance had already said yes, because she didn't think it was going to be an issue like that, because she already knows me as Frank and everything. The connection wasn't there in that way. But when I says like I wasn't feeling well with it, she of course took it back and said, no, we can't, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so they didn't
post it. No.
Okay. So that's also, I mean, relating to mental health, there's so much both anxiety with that not being out, I can imagine. Yeah. And then as well as the fact that your joy can't be public in the same way as other people's, you know. That's but congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you.
When are you getting married? Do you know?
Sometime after university.
Okay, you have to get that out of the way first.
We have to get out. Because we have made like small plans and figure out like the kind of budget, and it's like that is not a budget we have currently.
That's fair. That's
and
fair.
my fiance really wants like the wedding.
The wedding. Oh, that's cute.
She wants like the good things, everything, and does not want to go to the council hall.
Yeah, like.
And I was like, Rådhuset?
City Hall?
City Hall.
Yeah, City Hall, yeah. Okay, well, you're gonna do a big wedding once you have the budget.
Exactly.
The next question, I guess, is one of like at least my big ones, because you know how institutions like that are supposed to support you, such as the hospital, your doctor, the school, the university as well, just the state in general, how they they deal with people obviously every day. That's like their main thing, and how they greet those people or like are in contact with those people can be very affected by the fact that their idea of a person is very specific. So what I mean by that is just that the average citizen is often assumed to be white and like straight and cis and all of these things. And that sometimes means that we have some things that if we do not fit into those normative boxes, we have to do extra work to explain ourselves before we can actually gain access to the help or resources that everybody else has. And that not everybody has to explain themselves to have access to. So my question is, do you have any experience with this that you would like to share?
I have like one experience when I was getting like diagnosed for my anxiety. It was also in the same categories as depression. The psychiatric nurse wasn't really sure whether it was just anxiety or it was anxiety with depression. So of course, to get on medication, I went to a therapist.
Yeah.
And the psychiatric nurse had written that I like had slight issues with my gender.
Okay.
She had written that down in the description of me because we talked about it. She's wonderful, by the way. I love her very much.
And it's relevant. Like it could be. Yeah.
Exactly. It can be very relevant for your anxiety and your depressions.
Yeah.
And then when I went to the therapist, we got everything else out of the way, and then she came down to the part my nurse had written, and then she was like, I can see that she has written that you don't quite feel like a woman, that you feel like a man. What makes you think you feel like a man?
Okay, so what makes you think?
Yeah, why do you think you're a man? I was like, I have no fucking clue.
I don't know. Like, how would I know?
Exactly. Like, I am not a cis man. I don't know how men think. I just know that I question my gender and everything in a way that I so far have learned that cis women does not question.
Yeah.
That I have like theories and such and things I feel bad about that normally cis women don't have.
Yeah. And that's all you know. You just know how you feel.
Exactly. It's like it was such a weird question. It completely threw me out. And it's like I don't know. And that was also the thing. It's like I don't know.
Yeah. And that's also difficult because then you might feel like you have to give a qualified answer, but it's such a weird question. So how?
Exactly. Because like as I said, since child, I always said like I was half male and half female.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Like I've since almost kindergarten.
Yeah.
So I just know that like I don't feel the same way as the cis women peers I have.
Yeah.
And that I feel more comfortable with the guys, and I feel a certain euphoria whenever I'm referred to as a guy or something like that.
Yeah.
Or whenever people's like, I can't figure out if you're a guy or if you're a woman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so funny how for cis straight people that is like such an insult, and to queer people mostly it's like, thank you.
Exactly, like that alone already there's like most cis female was like, excuse you, I'm a woman.
Yeah, they would be very offended, right?
Exactly, and my own reaction is like, haha.
I gotcha.
Yes.
That's what I wanted.
That is what I wanted.
That's the confusion I was looking for.
Exactly. So getting the questions like, why do you think and what makes you think, is like life experience.
It's also quite a loaded question, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when they ask you what makes you think that you feel this way, oh, there's nothing about what, like, I don't know, like, I don't think that I feel a certain way. I know that I feel a certain way. I'm telling you right now. So that's the way it is. Exactly. And so they are already like a little bit gaslighting you into thinking that this is just something you think that you feel, but you don't actually feel it. Exactly. And it's also not very interesting way of asking or relevant, because even though I'm not saying that your like gender identity is not relevant, but the way that she asks is not really asking the important question in the situation. Exactly. Because what would be important would be, as we're talking about now, like, how does it play into your mental health? Exactly. Because you were there because you were struggling with anxiety, you know? Yeah, exactly.
It was not a question that was helping in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. It just got me thinking when you started talking about this, that whether being, for example, queer in a very straight society is what is making us depressed. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying that like that's the whole reason, but like, what if the world was like super queer? Like, you know, like if we just had that dream and we said, okay, so like the whole world is like, so we're trying to imagine a world like without heteronormativity. What would that, then would we still be depressed? Like, because the thing is, you still have your life with like all of your other stuff that could also make you depressed, but then you have this extra thing, like
you have the things on top that is definitely not also helping with your depression or your anxieties, because that is also a thing that your anxiety and depression loads into the other thing that is already like using against you. Yeah. Whenever you're feeling down or anything, that is also some of the things that it can definitely use against you. Yeah. That, you're never going to find like a partner or anything that's going to be accepting of this, because that was a very real fear of mine when I was younger, when I finally started to accept that was how it was and my gender was the way it was. It was finding a partner that could understand it. Yeah. And in a very straight and cis narrated world, that fear of finding that and ending up alone definitely did not aid my anxieties or my depression.
That is very interesting to me, because that speaks even further like into normativity in general, because our biggest fear is often that we don't find romantic love, because we do put that like at the forefront of our lives. And sure, like romantic love is nice. It can be, if you're into that. Not everybody is, but like most people are, I guess. And it is nice, but it's also part of heteropatriarchy, right? Or like heteronormativity. Yeah. I mean, this is opening like a big theme that I don't want to go too deep into, because then I will never stop talking. I guess just to sum up what you said right now about dealing with, like, for example, your doctors. So there has been for you some instances where when you are then struggling mentally, whether that is because of your identity or not, or a mix of everything live, then when you do, go out there and actually ask for help, which is also a very difficult thing to do. And then finally you're there, you're in the room with the people who can help you. Then you're met with this misunderstanding. So there has been that extra barrier for you in that sense. Yeah. And what do we think would help this situation, for example? Not necessarily like in that situation what should you have done, but like what do you think we as a society should do to aid that not happening so much, the misunderstandings?
Yeah, I think definitely like more accepting of the queer identities and such.
Yeah.
That is, of course, a lot. And for some a very difficult subject to grab onto. But I think definitely that, at least in the health department and such, mental health department, I think that at least more education about the different identities and such, and perhaps better ways to ask the questions that they need to ask to figure out where does this play into your anxieties or depression in my case.
Yeah.
So that we can separate it or figure out, okay, do we need to go further with this or do we need to go further on that instead?
Is it actually relevant?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does it have anything to do? Would it help you if you got someone else to talk more about the gender issues, or is it just school and life that is hard troubling
on
you?
Yeah, because that could easily be it, and maybe it did not have anything to do with your identity, whether your identity was being gay or being trans, or whether like somebody was another minority in another way. Because sometimes it has nothing to do with it, and that can also be a problem then, that we focus too much on it. So education, information, yes. And in that spirit, I guess, because I did promise that we were going to talk about intersectionality and minority stress. The thing is, we've already talked about intersectionality a little bit and minority stress a lot, but we haven't necessarily used those terms. But I just wanted to like pick up on that by saying that we actually touched on minority stress in a very specific way, I think, because we are talking about right now about what it means to be a minority in society, and then how that affects you mentally, and specifically how you might be more affected by mental health issues when you are a minority. There's this really good, I guess, analogy, it's called, by one of my favorite authors, that is like, so if you're at a big train station and everybody's going like towards one end, everybody is moving in the same direction as you because they're all going to catch that train over there, and you're going to another train, or you're going out, so you're going in, in the opposite direction. Then your travels to your destination, which is the other end of the train station, is going to be filled with, like, you might bump into somebody, it might be a little bit like rocky. Yeah, you might get some bruises, and also you might not get there as fast because you might have to like walk around people in order to get there. While if you are walking with the majority, it's easier because everybody is going the same direction as you. So you're basically being low-key carried a little bit, like you're just, on the wave, basically. And that can be used like to just describe being a minority in general, but minority stress, because of course, like that person that is going in the opposite direction as everybody else is might have some more stress than the others. And that's one way of trying to like explain minority stress. And I guess it's the reason why it's important to know that there is something called minority stress, I would say. I think it's very clear from what you're saying, because as you just said, you also have school and family and friends and everything going on in your life, like everybody else, which might be stressing you out. Or you might lose a loved one. Like, everything can also happen to you. They can happen to everybody else. But then at the same time, you're trying to catch that train that nobody else is trying to catch.
Yeah.
But of course, you're not the only one still. And that's why community is important. Now, I think we should transition into that was not pun intended into talking about history a little bit. So there are two reasons we're talking about history today. Is both because you're like a history major and you know a lot about history, and also as we talked about before the recording that history of marginalized people and mental health is not pretty. So that's interesting. So, so my original question to you was, how has the concept of mental health been perceived through history, and what does European society's history with mental health mean for our understanding of it today?
And I went into deep research about it. It's very interesting.
Yes.
The way we think about mental health has come a long way, but is rooted in centuries of changing ideas, fears and beliefs, like back in the Middle Ages, madness, which was their term of general just mental health issues. It was just madness.
Just madness.
Madness.
Love that.
Simple, easy, madness.
Yeah. Just one umbrella for everything.
Exactly. And it was often seen as something supernatural, either a punishment from divine or demonic possession.
Yeah, okay. So something about God. Yeah.
As it often is with back in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't treated as an illness, but more as like a problem of morality or even bad luck.
That's interesting. That it's a question of morality, right?
Exactly.
Because that places the responsibility on the individual, like it's your own fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even also with the term of like bad luck.
Yeah.
Because that just means, oh, you're having the issues you're having because you're just bad at something, or you're just unlucky, or it's because you haven't gotten the proper Christian upbringing.
Yeah, for sure.
And much like leprosy.
Leprosy. Yeah.
Leprosy was a big thing back in the Middle Ages. That madness also sparked fear and isolation. People were ostracized and not helped. And society's response was very harsh and reflecting the fear of being corrupted or contaminated by the madness.
Okay. So it was almost like, so leprosy is like if you had, like, it was like this very infectious disease, or like, what's it called when something spreads very easily? Contagious?
Contagious.
Yeah. So almost like like it was contagious, even though mental health, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But in the Middle Ages, the leprosy began slowly to disappear. And those places where they had placed the lepers, as it was called, those spaces didn't vanish. They just stayed free, isolated, almost like waiting for the new big thing and a new big fear, which then became madness. And by the 1600s, that was it. It was the madness that were the new solution to the issues they had. And in cities like Paris, to keep it on the more European terms, massive institutions were built, like the Hôpital General. I cannot say it in French, I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Was built, workhouses and prisons was built, where the mad then would be locked away.
Okay.
And treated in the same terms as the poor, the unemployed, and other prisoners.
And other, so also criminals, almost.
Also
yeah.
criminals.
Yes. Okay.
And the early psychiatrists would then find the people suffering with the mental illness in these institutions and was like, oh, but we placed them there. They saw it as like a good thing that they were placed in these.
Oh, so we handled it.
Exactly. We handled the issues. They are there. It's contaminated. Not contaminated. It's free.
Okay.
You're free to live your sin-free life.
So it was like the separation of the mad and the normal.
Exactly.
Was like seen as almost a heroic thing. Like, look how well we did.
Exactly.
Okay.
And like it became like the main idea for how to handle madness. It was just to lock them away.
Yeah.
To handle irrationality, which was also being poor or unemployed. It was under the same terms, which was so weird.
Such different situations, really.
Such very different situations, but whatever.
Yeah.
It became main thing was just to lock them away. It was easier to do than deal with, and it was just lock it away.
Yeah.
But things then started to change during the Enlightenment.
Yeah.
Where there were thinkers and like psychiatrists like Philip Pinel and William Turk that brought a more like humanity aspect to it.
Okay.
And they pushed for what they called moral treatment, which empathized on kindness, work and social interaction with these mad people. Instead of just locking them away, now we were supposed to work with them. They were just people.
Really?
Really, they were just people.
So they should be like re-socialized as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
They would find that like we could quote unquote treat this issue. The issue could be treated so we could gain the normal people back into society.
Okay. So a little bit better.
A little bit better. Still not good.
It's still not great.
Still not good, but better because not much later we got into eugenics.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing.
Yes.
Where it was like very much focused on genetic quality. And that people were supposed to only, quote unquote, breed with other people with high genetic quality, which of course was not people that suffered with mental illness, which was not people that were poor, of course not people with another skin color than you.
Yeah.
Obviously, because that's what it is.
So the purity of genetics was associated with whiteness and mental fitness and wealth.
Yeah. General white cis man marrying a white cis woman.
Yeah, who's like from a good family.
From a good family.
Preferably within the family sometimes.
Yeah, especially if you're royal.
Yeah, okay, so it was also a little bit. Okay.
Especially if you're royal.
Like what year are we like at this time with eugenics when they started?
We're in like the 19th century and 20th century.
Okay.
So we're in like the 1900s.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a legacy that we're still trying to come to terms with today.
Yeah, definitely.
And still dealing with, because it left harmful ideas about mental health and about human worth that we are still struggling with today.
Yeah, we still have it, like some residues from that time or that way of thinking, yeah.
But on the flip side, though, once we get a bit further into the 20th century, early 20th century, but still, we got people like Magnus Hirschfeld, who was a German sexuologist, that was the word, who very much fought for like acceptance. His specifically was for homosexuality, because that was also seen as an illness.
Yeah.
That was also not just something you chose, that was a real problem with you.
Yeah, you were like, it was a sickness, basically.
It was sickness, yeah. Yes. But he argued that homosexuality wasn't a disease, but natural variations of humans.
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, that doesn't sound too bad.
Exactly. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
And his institute in Berlin became like a hub for challenging traditional ideas
Okay.
about like sexuality and also mental health. He was on the ideas like you gotta educate people, like almost sex aid, birth control, abortion, and all of that.
Okay.
People have to be educated.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we lost a lot of his work with the Nazis.
Oh, yeah, that was probably not allowed.
No, they did not like that.
Very bad. Yeah. That's
not.
Actually...
A lot of his work was burnt with the book burning. And the whole institute was also burnt down.
Wow. Okay.
But we still have some of his stuff left, and he definitely laid like the groundwork.
Yeah.
For what later became what we know of it today.
Yeah.
Where we have moved on from seeing mental health as madness, illness. We see more of like a mix between like biology and psychology and social factors. Yeah. And we have made big strides in support and treatment, but there are still old stigmas that still are present.
Yeah.
Like with my therapist asking very loaded question.
Yeah.
But the history of the mental health definitely shows us how much our like perception has been shaped by fear, culture, and science. And it also reminds us how much we still need to ensure that everyone gets the care and understanding they deserve.
Yeah.
Because, as we also talked about, it's not helping if you already have issues, if you are struggling in a minority, to not have people understanding of that.
Yeah.
And that people are against that idea or against your culture or who you are as a person instead of just your issues.
Everything you just said is very interesting, I think, and I think it's very important that we remember that this, like, the history of this, and also just what you just said in the end made me think that, you know, how funny it is that sometimes that we focus so much on like, oh, how can we, you know, make sure that youth feels, you know, better with their mental health. How can we make them feel better? Oh, it's about stress. It's about this and this. And that's definitely a big thing as well. But I would like to know how much, because everything comes down to money in a capitalist society, how much money could we actually save if we all were more educated in anti-racism and inclusive thinking in terms of gender and sexuality and also neurodivergence and stuff like that. But I think we could really eliminate so much suffering with youth specifically if we just easier said than done, had more education on this subject, in this, like, both historically and for today.
I think, and I very much agree with you, because on the term of like neurodivergent, I've seen a lot of classmates throughout my school that, it's wrong to say, but they were a nuisance in school. They were annoying to have in class and everything, but it was because they were suffering with something else. Yeah. Dyslexia or ADHD or something like that, and it wasn't taken care of. And the teachers didn't have enough resources or enough knowledge to tackle this issue, so it was just labeled as troubled kid. And then it was just like, okay, they're acting up, whatever, go up to the principal. So the rest of us can have, quote unquote, an education.
Yeah, so the rest of us.
Exactly.
And then we're back to like just isolating the problem.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Then we're back to like the us versus them.
Yeah. Well, that was very interesting. And I love how you combined as well, like, because we all know, I guess, that there's so much like historical stigma around mental health, but then to also have the perspective of like the combined of it's history, mental health, and then also being a minority. The wrapping up question for today is, what do you think we can, and by we I mean our community or the people with the resources, the project Feelin Alive basically, what can we do better in terms of inclusion overall?
I mean, I really like the idea of this like community and the project, because it can bring a lot of like knowledge and education to people that perhaps haven't really heard of it. It sounds like a really great thing to like slowly try and bring in more of the youth and getting their perspective on a thing and trying to include them into this work, which they seem to very much want to do also.
So actually asking youth, what do you need? What do you want from resources like this, instead of just telling them what they need?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have voices with these issues that can talk about it.